So let me start today's video with an example. Let's talk about a guy we have all seen. He may be your friend, your cousin, somebody you've dated, or maybe someone you know very closely. Let's call this guy Raj. And Raj is not some extreme case. He's actually a very normal guy. He's 30 plus, has a job, talks about investments, crypto, and even gives advices to other people about life decisions. And on paper, he looks like a very normal, well-settled man. But there is one small pattern that shows up the moment real life decisions come in. You ask him about his travel plans, moving cities, and even things like having kids. And every time something important needs to be decided, Raj pauses. And you would think he's thinking about it. Or maybe he wants to discuss this with his partner. But that is not what's happening. Because every time you ask him something, Raj says one line. Yaar mama se pooch ke batata hu. And then he comes back with the decision. My mom thinks we should go somewhere local, not international. Or my mom says, we don't need new furniture right now. Or my mom feels like we should start planning kids now. Baad mein late ho jayega. And the strange part is, this does not feel weird to him. It feels completely normal. And this is how decisions are supposed to be made, right? And in many families, people don't even question it. They say, bahut sanskari beta hai. He's very family oriented, he's a very good son. But if you pause for a second, you will start noticing something. And that is the real question this video is about. Why are Indian men such mama's boys? Why do so many grown Indian men still depend on their mother's approval for basic life decisions? If we really want to understand why so many Indian men become mama's boys, we have to go back much earlier, even before the son is born. Because in many South Asian families, the son is not just another child. He is desired. He is expected. Sometimes people even pray for him. And even today, if a woman gives birth to a daughter, people often don't simply congratulate her. They will say things like, koi baat nahi, agli baar beta hoga. Or maybe they will treat her with sympathy, as if somehow she has failed herself. And the moment she gives birth to a son, everything changes. Suddenly, relatives will start celebrating. Suddenly, she has more respect in the society. Suddenly, people will say, ab ghar ka waris aa gaya, ab tumhari family complete ho gayi. And think about the message this sends to a postpartum mother. Even before this little boy has spoken his first word, even before he has taken his first step on the planet Earth, society has already told his mother something. This child will give you status. This son is going to give you security. This son is why you are getting this respect and this appreciation. So this emotional investment into sons does not begin when they are 30. It begins even before they are born. And now imagine what happens over the next 20 to 30 years. Raj is growing up and he has a very good relationship with his mother. But without anybody noticing, their relationship is beginning to change. And it starts very innocently. She talks to him every day about how she's feeling, what is her mood like. And slowly he hears about family problems, marriage problems, financial stress, how she was treated by the in-laws. Over time, he becomes the person who she vents to. He becomes the person who is listening to everything, who understands her the best. And then he becomes the person she leans on emotionally. Not because she is trying to burden him, but because he's always there. And naturally, he becomes protective. He wants to defend her. He wants to stand up for her and make sure she is never hurt because she is his mother. Everybody wants that, right? And before either of them realize it, the relationship has changed. He is no longer just her son. He has become her entire emotional support system. And sometimes even the center of her identity. And when one person becomes the entire world to you, their independence starts to feel like abandonment. Their boundaries, their relationships, their wife, their girlfriend, everyone starts to feel like a threat to you. And not because you want to control them, but because subconsciously it feels like the person who gave your life meaning is slowly moving away. And here is the part almost everyone misses. Because honestly, the most protected person in this whole conversation is the father. Everybody blames the mother. She's obsessed with her son. Uska ghar kharab karna chahti hai. And then everybody blames the son. Why doesn't he stop her? He's spineless. But somehow, the father disappears. And think about how many Indian fathers were raised like this. Unko sikhaya gaya, you need to work hard, paise kamao, don't cry, mard ko dard nahi hota, don't talk about your emotions. So many men genuinely believe being a good husband means paying the bills, providing for their children, providing for their wife. But you don't need to make emotional connections. If you show emotions, you will be considered weak. So what happens? He goes to work, comes home, eats his food, watches TV, sleeps, and then repeats. He may be a very loving husband. He may be a very good father. He may be a very responsible man, but emotionally he is not there. And when emotional needs are not being met in the marriage, those needs just do not disappear into thin air. They go somewhere else. And very often they go to the children, especially the son. And now suddenly the son is the one carrying the emotional weight that was never meant for him. Not because anybody planned it, but because every generation repeats this cycle. And here is what makes the situation even more complicated. The father can see that his wife is emotionally dependent on the children, particularly the son. He sees the guilt, he sees the control, he sees the arguments. But most of the time, he says nothing. But why? Because emotional responsibility was never his job. At least, that is what he was taught. His job was to earn, to provide, and to keep the family financially secure. Nobody taught him how to step in emotionally. So when things start become unhealthy, he starts to see that, there are toxic patterns. He stays in the background and he tells himself, it's between them. I should not interfere. Or I don't want to make it worse. And that is why in so many families, when there is mother-in-law and daughter-in-law drama, or a mother constantly fighting with her son for his attention, the father is just there, quiet and watching. Not because he's a bad man, but because getting involved would mean asking himself a very uncomfortable question. Like, how did we get here? And somewhere deep down, he knows that I wasn't emotionally present when my family needed me. And this is the tragedy. Nobody wanted this to happen. But when nobody interrupts the pattern keeps repeating itself. And now let's talk about what happens when mama's boys get into relationships. We were talking about Raj. Now Raj grew up, he got a job, he got married. But here is the interesting part. Raj ke liye kuch nahi badla. He is still talking to his mother daily, still seeking her approval and still discussing major decisions with her. And even small ones, because this is what he has done all his life. This is what feels normal to him. But for his partner, this is an entirely new experience. And when she notices these dynamics, she understands that she is not building a relationship with him. It's not you and me. It's you, me, and your mother. And without anybody saying it out loud, a silent competition begins. Not because either of the women want to fight and create chaos, and both of them do not have bad intentions necessarily. It's because the boundaries were never built. So the mother still wants to remain the center of attention, and the partner wants to build this new relationship up. And both the women are asking Raj for the same thing. They want his time and his attention, and both want to be the number one priority. And this is where things go wrong, because Raj has never learned how to create and maintain emotional boundaries. He does not know how to separate the role of a good son and a good husband. So when his partner says, I think we should make this decision ourselves, he genuinely does not understand the problem. His first thought is not that maybe she's right. It's, मैं तो बस अपनी माँ का ख्याल रख रहा हूँ. I'm just trying to seek advice. इसमें problem क्या है? Because from his perspective, he is not choosing between his mother and his partner. He is simply doing what he has always believed a good son is supposed to do. And this is why these conversations become so emotional and usually blow up into full-on fights. And this is where he starts to live in constant emotional turmoil. Because every disagreement feels like I need to choose sides. Every time he creates a boundary with his mother, it feels like he is betraying her. Every independent decision he takes makes him feel guilty. And this is not because he does not love his mother or his wife. It's because the boundaries that should have built years ago were never built at all. And now we arrive at a question you all must be thinking. Raj is no longer a child. Does he not see this? Why isn't he acknowledging that there is a problem? And I think the answer is not as simple as saying because he does not want to. I think it's much deeper than that. Imagine growing up believing that somebody is always there for you. They will always prioritize you. They will cook for you, clean for you, manage everything possible, and they will always put your needs first. They are willing to make any sacrifice for you. Why would you stop and question it? Because from your perspective, nothing feels wrong. It is perfectly normal to expect your mother to do these things, right? And there is another reason why changing becomes very difficult. Because many men subconsciously choose the mother-son dynamic over building a new relationship with their partner. Not because they love their mother more, it's because it's very familiar. You already know the rules. The expectations are already set. You already know how she is going to react. So it does not take a lot of work. But when it comes to a healthy romantic relationship, it asks for something very different. It asks you to communicate. It asks you to sit with discomfort, see into yourself, be emotionally accountable and vulnerable. You need to apologize, you need to compromise, and sometimes you need to change your ways. And that is hard. So obviously, you are going to go to a relationship which feels very familiar and very comfortable. So without even realizing, one would start choosing the easier path. Like, mama ke saath sab simple hai. The relationship is very complicated. But the problem is, the relationship is not complicated. It is simply asking him to grow in ways he has never been taught to. It is asking him to see things which he never wishes to acknowledge. And real growth comes with this discomfort. And let's say, Raj actually acknowledges the problem. He sees that he is emotionally enmeshed with his mother and actually wants to change the dynamics and create healthy boundaries. This is where the dark side of the patriarchal system we live in would show up. This system will try to resist any change Raj is trying to make. If Raj asks for privacy, they will say you are being very secretive. तुम हमें कुछ बताते क्यों नहीं हो? If he asks for independence, they will say you are just being rebellious. शादी के बाद तुम बदल गए हो. She is trying to control you. Even his marriage would become a competition. अब wife तुम्हारे लिए ज़्यादा important हो गई है. You don't care about your mother anymore. And this is a very important point to consider. In many South Asian families, we fail to understand the concept of boundaries. Boundaries actually are a very good thing. It actually helps people grow in relationships and creates peace and harmony among family members. But in toxic family systems, these same boundaries feel like rejection. They become a sign of abandonment. And quietly, love is replaced by guilt. हमने तुम्हारे लिए इतना कुछ किया. Why don't you care about us anymore? I gave my whole life for you. I sacrificed everything for you. Why have you forgotten about us? अब तुम हमें भूल कैसे गए? And this is the part that is incredibly difficult to recognize because you would think your mother is just concerned about you. She just loves you and wants you to be there for her. Which is exactly why a lot of people don't question this behavior. But sometimes this is just a control tactic. And if you fail to comply with this system, sometimes it pushes back even harder. And this is where you will start to hear stories like, तुम्हारी wife तुम्हें हमसे दूर कर रही है. उसके आने के बाद तुम बदल गए हो. She does not care about the family. She wants you to separate from us. And now let's be fair. Are all of these complaints false? I would say no. A lot of families have very real conflicts. Sometimes these accusations emerge only because for the first time the structure of the family actually changes. The emotional boundaries are actually created. The son is beginning to invest more emotionally into his marriage and actually prioritizing his new family unit. The partner is actually becoming his priority. And for a family that has never actually experienced healthy boundaries, this shift does not feel like adulthood. It feels like someone is actually taking their son away. And that is why so many ordinary boundaries, something that should be very normal, will actually become a full-blown family conflict. And this is not because there is no love present. This is because the old system is now collapsing and this system does not want to give up its power. So once you start pointing out this pattern, something really interesting happens. Every time this conversation comes up, people don't usually deny that, this problem exists. They try to justify it. And honestly, I think the justifications are one of the most fascinating parts of this entire conversation. Because every time I see a reel or a video talking about unhealthy mother-son dynamics, I already know what the comment section is going to be like. People would say, my mother sacrificed everything for me. My father was not there. She raised me alone. My mother sold her jewelry so that I could study. She worked 2 jobs to make sure I get a better life. She's getting old. I'm all she has. How can I leave her? And my personal favorite? This is Indian culture. We don't abandon our parents like the West. And on surface, you would think every single one of these statements sound very reasonable. There are mothers who have sacrificed everything for their children. And there are single mothers who raised their children under incredibly difficult circumstances. And there are widows who carried an entire family on their shoulders. And nobody is denying that. The problem starts when gratitude turns into an obligation. When I love my mother changes over time into I owe her my entire life. And once that happens, every decision you make starts to feel like a test. If I spend more time with my wife, am I becoming a bad son? If I move to another city, am I abandoning my mother? And if I don't do what my mom wants, am I just being ungrateful for whatever she has done? Do you see what's happening? You are not loving a person, you are just trying to repay a debt. And debt never feels like freedom. And the saddest part is, nobody really wakes up one day and decides to create a toxic family dynamic. A lot of this is inherited. It comes from patriarchal patterns that were never really questioned. But understanding that does not remove accountability, because even if you did not create it, you are still a part of it if you continue it. And if someone finds themselves in this Indian mama's boy dynamic, the real question becomes, do you actually want to change it or not? Because if you do, it is not something that fixes itself overnight. Sometimes it means having uncomfortable conversation with your mother or your parents. Sometimes it means setting boundaries that feel new and very difficult. And sometimes, honestly, it means getting help, seeking therapy, guidance, and whatever it takes to understand what is going on. Because if it goes unchecked, it does not just affect one relationship. It eventually affects partners, marriages, your children, and future families. And this is how the cycle keeps going. So yes, this may be something we have inherited, but whether we pass it or not, that is still our choice. Anyway, that's the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And if there is a topic you'd like me to cover in a future video, please leave your suggestions and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.